Monday Night Raw starts off with Gunther. He ends up cutting a promo. He ends up mentioning Finn Balor, but then ends up getting interrupted by Finn Balor. He comes out with the Judgment Day. He ends up mentioning, he helped Gunther retain his World Heavyweight Championship twice, and he ends up mentioning how that he helped him retain, and now he's going to be the reason why he loses the title at Saturday Night Main Event. Then Gunther responds. He ends up alluding to Finn Balor winning the Universal Championship, and that during that time he looked up to Finn Balor, but eventually that faded away because Finn started taking shortcuts and eventually start hanging out with weirdos, mentioning the Judgment Day, and then he ends up saying that he played second fiddle to Damian Priest. Then he ends up mentioning, him winning the Universal Championship 8 years ago. Ends up saying that he was once the best in the world, but only for one night. I am the best in the world right now, and the championship proves it. Gunther has been doing some amazing promo work. People who say he's not a good promo worker are just ridiculous. He has been doing some great promo work, man, and this is just another example of it. After this, after he said that, Judgment Day tries to attack, but then Damian Priest ends up coming out, takes out Judgment Day. Then Gunther ends up attacking Damian Priest. Then you end up getting them on the outside. This allowed Finn Balor to take the opportunity to attack Gunther. Then this allowed Judgment Day to recover. They attack Damian Priest, and then Finn Balor stands tall, holding the World Heavyweight Championship and his Tag Team Championship. This is very interesting. After this, actually, we end up getting a segment where Adam Pearce basically confirms that it's going to be a triple threat, which we all assumed. And then next week, also, he confirms that they're going to have the rematch against the War Raiders, with the Judgment Day being banned from ringside. So it's going to be very interesting. The Finn Balor fanboys are going to be in shambles next week because he's not only going to lose the World Heavyweight Championship match, he's going to lose his tag title as well. Losing back-to-back championship matches is crazy work, but I'm very interested to see how that match plays out. We know the real story between it is really the Finn Balor Damian Priest feud. I'm going to have slight hope that they improve the feud. Let's hope that they improve it instead of doing what they did last time or do what they're doing with the Rhea, Ripley, and Liv Morgan storyline. So let's just hope that if they're going to reunite this feud, that they actually, make it interesting. But overall, the match should be a banger, and they're going to lose their tag titles next week, which should have been happened, so I can't wait for that. Now we end up getting the Final Testament versus The Miz. No, not versus The Miz. Final Testament and The Miz versus the Wyatt Six. This match was really fun. The Wyatt Six actually lost this match, which was very surprising. The Final Testament picks up the victory. Paul Ellering ended up making his return. He ended up throwing like some type of powder or whatever into Uncle Howity's face, Bo Dallas. And Karrion Kross actually pinned Bo Dallas, which is very interesting because I didn't think Bo Dallas would get the pin. So the fact that he pinned Bo Dallas and they won is very interesting. This was great because if you really get the Final Testament over, you got to give them wins. You got to give them credible wins. And you can't just have them lose every... Now, I think they're going to lose the feud, unfortunately, because it's the Wyatt Six. I think they're going to lose to the Wyatt Six in terms of the feud. But you got to at least make them look strong, make them look credible, and actually have them get a couple of decent wins under their belt to really get them over. And I like this feud. This feud has been really cooking. I hope this is the feud that actually push Karrion Kross, that gets him over with the crowd, because Karrion Kross is good. Like, Karrion Kross is good. Like, he's not bad at all. I just think he's just been dealt with bad booking for the most part. But he is actually good. This feud is really entertaining. And I hope this continues. And I hope it continues to be entertaining. But we'll have to see how this plays out. Now we end up getting CM Punk. He ends up having an interview segment with Jackie Redmond. She first asked about the favor of Paul Heyman. But Punk ends up saying that's private and that's personal. So she moved on to Seth Rollins. Punk actually ended up alluding to Seth Rollins. He ends up saying that, look, he doesn't understand why Punk hates him because he doesn't hate him. And then he ends up saying that the history that they have, that it goes back to back when Seth Rollins was 16. Seth Rollins asked Punk to train him for free. Then he ends up saying that entitlement must have carried over to him when he was an adult. And then he ends up mentioning how Seth wants to be the best and how Seth wants to be on everyone's top 10, but he remembers when Seth was top 10 in people that was going to get fired in WWE, and that he shielded Seth Rollins from that happening. Then he ends up mentioning, Seth Rollins' success and how everything Seth Rollins did, he did first, and he did it better than Seth Rollins, and that he had his run when I was gone. He took over when I was gone, but The starter is back. The second string needs to go back to the bench, and the true star needs to get back in the game. This was a really great segment. I enjoyed this, bro. Punk basically little bro Seth Rollins in this segment, basically making Seth Rollins seem like he's less than him, that they're just in two different tiers. This was great. I love that he mentioned the shield, that he shielded him. Good play on words. This was a great segment. This feud is going to be really good. It's going to be really good. Is it going to be better than Drew and Punk? Don't know, but it has all the potential of being better. We just got to see. We just got to wait until once it hits about January, basically Raw, the first episode on Netflix. That's when this feud is really going to pick up. This was a really good interview segment. After this, we end up getting Dakota Kai versus Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan ends up picking up the victory. Of course, she's the women's champion. She's not losing to Dakota Kai. PFC comes out. They end up attacking Dakota Kai. This allows damage control to come out. And then Liv Morgan ends up hitting the Oblivion on Io Sky while she wasn't looking. This was a quick segment just to play two stories into one, because PFC took out Dakota Kai, made her get injured, taking her off TV. That's the angle they played. And then Io Sky gets attacked by Liv to play up their match at Saturday night's main event. Basically simple as that. Not going to speak too much on it. After this, we end up getting Drew McIntyre. He ends up having a vignette segment. And he basically ends up admitting that the reason why he came back was because of the whole Roman Reigns and Punk teaming up at Survivor Series. And that he's basically about to crash out. He's basically about to be on his Kevin Owens timing. And I love it. I love it. He's basically about to be the Kevin Owens of Raw. That's basically what he's going to be. He's about to be the Kevin Owens of Raw. And he's about to crash out. Now, some people are saying that him, KO, and Seth Rollins should be like a three, like a faction together of them just being crash outs of the bloodline, which would actually be amazing. Now that I think, like, them three just crashing out over Roman Reigns would be hilarious if they actually play that into a storyline. That would actually be wild. But he ends up admitting that he attacked Jey Uso and that he's going to continue to attack Sami. So this would be very interesting. I'm very interested in this feud. I actually wanted Sami and Drew to actually feud over each other for the World Heavyweight Championship last year, back when Seth originally got injured and we assumed that he might have to vacate it. And I thought Drew would have been the perfect person to win. And then you have Sami chase after him. But now they're having a feud here. I think the feud can be really good if they build it up. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Afterwards, we end up getting Seth Rollins. He responds back to CM Punk. He ends up saying that CM Punk spun the truth and that he didn't tell the full story. And he ends up saying the full story is that he did look up the Punk. He did ask for him to train him. But he is also saying that him and Punk were once friends. But when he left the WWE, he ignored him. And that he basically didn't reply to any of his text messages or any of his phone calls. And that for the next 10 years, he tried to tear the company down. And that the only reason he came back was because he burned every single bridge. And that the money was right, alluding to AEW burning that bridge with them. And then he ends up saying that everything that Punk ended up doing, he did it better. He did it twice as better, and that he did the one thing that Punk has never done, which is main event a WrestleMania. And that's going to play a factor because that's the main thing Punk wants. It's the main event WrestleMania. Now, I'm going to assume he's going to main event night 1 this year. The only issue I have is that who gets left out of main eventing WrestleMania? Because you have Cody and you have Roman. And then you also have The Rock potentially. So if The Rock, Roman, and Cody, all three are going to be at Mania, who gets left off of night 1? Because I'm assuming if you have Cody and Rock, that's going to main event night 2 guaranteed. So you telling me that Roman is going to get left off the main event? So, like, you get what I'm saying? It's like, it's going to be very interesting to see that. I think he's going to get it, but it's going to be very interesting to see who gets left off that main event, that night 1 or night 2 main event. It's going to be very interesting. Afterwards, we end up getting Sami. He comes out. He basically apologizes to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ends up accepting it. They end up going back and forth, but they eventually ends up making up. Then Seth Rollins leaves the ring, and then Sami has the floor, and he basically ends up confirming that him and Drew are going to have a match at Saturday Night Main Event. So that's going to be the 5th match on Saturday Night Main Event. And then afterwards, he ends up leaving the ring, and then Drew McIntyre ends up attacking Sami Zayn. So it's going to be very interesting to see who wins that match. I hope this is a continuing feud, especially something as hot as his feud was with Punk. I think this feud could be not as hot, but really good, especially with the promo battles. Drew and Sami on the microphone cutting promos back and forth can be really good. So interested to see how that plays out. Afterwards, though, We end up getting the women's intercontinental championship tournament match. Lyra, Selena, and Ivy. Now, Lyra Raquel picks up the victory. Not gonna really go that in depth into this match. Lyra wins as I expected. She's going to go to the finals most likely because the next people in her bracket are not even a threat. So we just got to see who's going to make it to the finals, which is most likely probably going to be Dakota Kai or Raquel. Very interested to see how that plays out. Now we end up getting the New Day. The New Day try to reveal the reasons why they turned on Big E, but they couldn't reveal their reasons. They got booed out of the building, bro. They were getting Dom level heel heat, which is crazy. The fact that the New Day are getting booed like this is crazy. Like, it is ridiculous how much they got booed. Like, they couldn't get a single word. The moment they spoke, they got booed instantly. Like, they could not get a single word. This is great. This is amazing heel heat. This is what the New Day needed. The New Day needed something. They needed to reinvent themselves. This is it. This is it. Have to go on a crazy heel run. I don't know what the end goal is. I'm assuming the end goal would be Big E returning. Now, I'm going to assume that Big E is either getting cleared or soon to get cleared due to this story, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. I don't think fans should get their hopes up. I think you could think about it, but I wouldn't expect it, if that makes sense. It should be more of a hope instead of actually like believe, if that makes sense. It should be more of a hope it happens instead of thinking. But this is great. The heel heat that they got from this is great, and it's only going to continue, man. And I can't wait to see how they play this story up. Then we end up getting the main event, Rhea versus Raquel. This was an everything goes match. The match was actually quite fun. I'm going to be honest. The match was actually quite fun. During the match, you end up getting Liv Morgan interfere. Then you end up getting Io Sky attacking Liv Morgan from earlier. This allowed Rhea Ripley to take advantage. She ends up hitting the riptide on the table, picking up the victory. Not gonna really speak too much on this afterwards though. You end up getting Io Sky and Rhea lifting the World Heavyweight Championship at the same time. Now, some people are saying that, oh, this is teasing the WrestleMania match. I'm going to be honest. I do not think that is happening. I think this was just a teaser just to show what the future holds within like a year or two. Triple H has done this in the past. He did this with Now, they wasn't holding championships, but he's done stare downs before. He did this with Braun Breaker, Jacob Fatu. He done this with multiple people where they have a stare down just to show. He done this with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley, like for like a year when they kept having stare downs. So I don't think it's going to happen, especially because Io hasn't been built up that much, and plus I think it's just going. I just think Liv and Rhea is clearly the WrestleMania match. If Rhea does not win that championship on the first episode on Netflix, they're going to WrestleMania. It's just that obvious to me, but I could be wrong. But overall, this was a solid show. This was a really solid show. You guys let me know your opinions down below. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. But yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.